Well. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's an absolute pleasure to be here tonight at Villa Park, the home of my beloved Aston Villa. I'm glad to see there are some... Oh, come on. Baldwins have given us a great opportunity tonight to be able to speak to you, much respected friends and guests, and we're very, very grateful for that opportunity. As said, I am Derry. I'm the CEO of Stormburst Studios, and we're a games developer specialising in gamified technologies. Now, gamified technologies may be a new term to you. You may have heard of it before, you may not have. But what it's all about is applying gamification to technology. Gamification itself is about applying game design techniques to non-gaming context. So you will have encountered it before. You commonly see it in the form of points, leaderboards, badges and achievements, sometimes with social competition, sometimes with social connectivity to your friends as well. And there are some great examples of it out there. You'll no doubt have heard of some of these examples I'm about to show you. The first one is the Fitbit. Hands up, has anyone actually got a Fitbit in this room? Has anyone used one? One down here? Has anyone else heard of it though? Hands up if you've heard of Fitbit before. That's much better, see? Now Fitbit, for those of you who don't know, Fitbit is a health and fitness smartwatch that you have on your wrist. It records how many steps you take, it sees how many floors you ascend and descend over the space of a day, so on, so forth. And you get pitted against your friends in leaderboards, against people all around the world, and you can earn achievements and badges for doing so. And that's why last year they managed to shift over 11 million units. Duolingo is another one. It's an app for learning foreign languages. Again, it's very, very educational. It's very, very competitive with friends. And there's also an element of it which takes gamification one step further by allowing you to essentially select how you progress through learning a language, almost like a level-based structure, like a game. Now on to the interesting one, the Barclays Premier League. No, football isn't gamification, but Fantasy Premier League is. I'm sure many of you have heard of fantasy football or have at least played it at some stage in your lives. For those of you who haven't, Barclays Fantasy Premier League, is all about picking a team of professional players based on the statistics given to you, who then you earn points from how these players perform in their games that week. And then from that you can win rewards, and some of them, the Sun Dream Team is a very popular one with a large cash prize. And other ones, you get a little pat on the back from your friends saying, all right, I owe you a beer then, fair enough. Now, we started looking at using gamification in the work context instead. It's great that it's being used for applications like these, but what about using it in the workplace to motivate and engage people, which is what gamification is all about. So we started looking into sales teams. All of us have done selling at some point, whether it's to a friend, whether it's in a business context, and you'll probably know that it can be a very, very competitive environment. Whiteboard leaderboards, Excel documents that sprawl on forever, you know the drill. So we started doing some investigation into sales teams and came across a very scary statistic, I suppose you could say. And I want to ask some people to shout out here, actually. What percentage of people do you think miss their sales quota? 95%. I'd be worried if it was 95%, to be honest. That sounds like a bad business going down. Anyone else? Okay, I'll tell you. It's 67%. So that's 2/3 of a company's employees not hitting their sales quota, not generating the revenue that the company expects. And it's a very demotivating factor for these people who aren't hitting their targets. So we began thinking, well, this is really worrying, actually. It doesn't look good for the companies who have this kind of statistic in their organisation. So how can we change this? And you can see where the link's going with this one. We did indeed begin thinking about gamification in this kind of context. Specifically, and I did speak about it for a reason, fantasy football. And so we've came up with Spirit, which is a gamified engagement and incentive platform for sales teams, which draws on inspiration from fantasy football leagues. No, you don't draft in professional football players into a squad and earn points from that. You draft in the employees around you, those in your sales team, and all of you then earn points for the things that you do, be that making calls, generating revenue, following up on leads. If you measure it, we can plug it into Spirit. And this kind of makes a more collaborative environment then. It's not just about you, about what commission you earn and how well I'm performing. It's about how is the whole team performing, orientating towards this single objective of making the company successful. There's a lot of other things going into Spirit besides this base experience with fantasy football that I've just spoke about. There's automation going into it too, because a platform like this wouldn't be too handy if a manager had to sit there all day and enter in numbers, more and more numbers compared to what they used to, into their CRM systems or Excel documents. There's a plethora of other things going in there, including being able to challenge your friends to 1v1s. You can even go through things along the lines of having modular bolt-ons plugged into the platform, so employee feedback surveys, bonus scheme calculations, you name it, we can build it into there. Now, the platform's still under development, so I don't have a whole ton to show you, but I do have some mock-ups of what it's going to look like when it comes around to launching it in February. When the clicker goes through. There we go. So the dashboard is the first page that you'll see when you log onto the platform. It displays your rank, your points, your team's ranks, and your team's points overall, including the tasks that you need to complete this week to get the points. You can see your performance on a week-on-week basis, so you know how well am I doing compared to the last week? How am my team doing? How am I doing compared to last month? So you can actively see how it is that you're improving, because being able to see even the slightest of improvements can be a huge motivational factor. The second page here displays what is essentially a league, and a league is essentially a time-constrained competition, I suppose you could call it, the traditional sales contest that we're all used to. The idea here is that you provide your time limits, you provide your rewards for finishing in a certain place, and you provide the metrics that will be recorded. So a great example for this is if you've just had a bunch of new guys join your company, it's not fair to compare them to the guys who have been there for 3 or 4 years and are well ingrained with the sales process. So in this case, you say to them, okay guys, look, make me 90 calls a day, sorry. That's all I want to see out of you. I don't care what the response is from those calls. Just make 90 calls a day. And you invite the 20 or so new guys you've brought in. You have them compete against each other. Not everyone else is in the company. And it's a really good way for them to see themselves making an improvement in an environment that feels fair and just. And the final screen that I was going to speak through. When it chooses to look, I've got to skip it over ahead. This is the team page that you see in those leagues I've just spoke about. So again, you can define who's in your team. You get to pick those around you, and you can see who the top players are in the league overall. If someone's not pulling the weight, just like in real football, you can bench them or sub them out for the week. And once the transfer windows open on weekends or after work, you can bring in new players to your team if you feel, okay, they might actually make me a lot of points here. And again, with the table displaying the guys who are the top ones in the league so far, you can see who it is you should be bringing into your team. But there's one thing to worry about, is that the more teams players are in, the more diminishing returns you get from their results. So you have to pick wisely, as this therefore encourages everyone to be involved in the process and not just the top guys. In terms of the pricing, there is one simple price for Spirit. It's $17.99 per user per month, including VAT. There's a 10% discount if you pay it annually, and this gives you access not only to the platform, but also to the full support from us. The modular bolt-ons that I spoke about earlier, the bonus scheme calculations, the employee feedback surveys, they're between £1 and £5 per user per month. And again, they can be selected for individual employees who you feel need them. So if someone needs a helping hand with some training, just give them the training module and then get running off with that, which again, plugs into all of the statistics that we already have in the base platform. Now, in terms of marketing, it's been a really strange transition for myself as someone who graduated in games programming to be sitting on the phone trying to cold callers. It wasn't a pleasant experience, I can tell you that much. But it gave us some really valuable feedback, and that's when we came across the Sales Innovation Expo. This is an event down in London on May the 11th and 12th, where we get to be in front of 3,000 sales directors, all of them who are looking to innovate in their company and bring something fresh to the table. That's a huge thing for us to be able to speak to these kinds of people, those who are looking to make these differences. And Spirit could be that difference that they're looking for. And we're really excited about being able to show Spirit for the first time publicly there. In terms of the actual target markets we're looking towards, yes, sales is a very, very broad environment. You get your recruitment teams, you get your estate agents teams, you get your telesales teams, so on and so forth. And we are looking specifically into telesales. The reason for this is that it's a very target-led environment. There are a lot of metrics that go into the CRM systems or customer relationship management systems if you've not heard of that before. The fact that it's also fully traceable and already very integrated with technology makes it an easy access point for us. And they can probably understand a lot of the issues that they get with the high turnover. In fact, telesales is one of the top 4 sectors in the UK for a high turnover rate alongside catering, retail and construction. So it's a good place for us to start to make a noticeable difference. In terms of the minimum number of employees that we want to be able to use Spirit from any given company, it's going to be 15, purely because any less than that and you will find the same teams being picked every single week. And we all like a bit of variety, which is why 25 or more is the most optimal number. In terms of competition, there aren't actually any truly UK-based businesses using this kind of technology, but there are a lot of international ones. The main one of which, in the top right corner, is Fantasy Sales Team. These guys were recently acquired by Microsoft to build into their Dynamics CRM, which is very, very impressive considering they've only had the technology going for a year or two. Our main issue, I suppose, with Fantasy Sales Team is that it is very American. It uses a lot of NASCAR, a lot of basketball, a lot of baseball, all the bells and whistles you'd expect from our friends across the pond. And we want to create more of a professional sales environment while still being very fun and engaging, but something that people don't look at and think, okay, this is very I suppose, relaxed, very casual, I suppose you could say. We want to make sure it looks very professional and crisp. In terms of the team that are involved in Stormburst Studios, it's myself, Derry, I'm the CEO and co-founder. And then there's James Heath, who's sat somewhere over there, our CTO. And then finally, just a few days ago, we took on a third member of staff, Alex Clark, as a front-end developer. Myself and James have had the pleasure of being able to work in the games industry on 2 huge titles. Myself on Angry Birds Go for Rovio, and James on Heaven Strike Rivals for Square Enix over in Japan. Alex completed a dissertation during his degree studies on the effects of gamification. So between the 3 of us, we know a huge amount about designing, engaging, and user-friendly systems with a twist of gamification thrown in for good measure. I really hope these few minutes of me explaining our business and spirit to you has been useful, and we would like to ask if anyone is involved in sales in any kind of environment that I've talked about, is looking to use something new, or even just to give us a helping hand and provide some data for us to run simulations with, we'd be really, really appreciative of that. With one client already getting ready to use the platform in February, we're looking for more, so please do get in touch. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and thank you very, very much for your time. Thank you.
Fantastic. Let's hear it for Derry. What a way to start. Right, your main course will be served now, but you're also going to be entertained. We've got some live music for you. You'll be entertained by the Gary Priestley Trio. You heard Gary singing out in the foyer when you came in. They'll entertain you while you're having your main course. Enjoy it. We'll be back shortly.